Good afternoon, friends. 1 hour behind the doors of Clarence House, and the country held its breath. A meeting between King Charles III and his younger son sounds like an ordinary family pause, yet these quiet moments are the ones that change history. Today we'll calmly unpack why this conversation could become a bridge across a chasm, what touched the king most, and how it may unsettle the palace's usual rhythm. Stay through the end, we'll save the most sensitive point for last, not titles or protocol, but the children's right to family and to silence. Let's start with what stands out in a monarch's day. The king found almost an hour. Charles's schedule is measured not only by his office but by duty to the nation. If a day like that opens space for a private talk, it's not dropping by. It's a choice. A choice louder than any press release, family over feud. And it speaks even louder to older viewers who know how fragile it is to bring together people marked by public hurt. What do fathers and sons discuss after a long pause? Not book quotes or headlines. They circle back to what is tender and costly, the children. And here came the wordless act. Harry brought his father photos and short home videos of the grandchildren, warm, domestic, not for display. Every grandfather has a weak spot. First steps, a funny look, a stubborn curl. For a king who's seen them only a handful of times, those moments aren't paper, they're a bridge. An unspoken "let's start with them." The room filled with that kind of quiet where people stop arguing and just look. Sometimes that's enough to stop the ice from cracking underfoot. This isn't instant reconciliation. Bridges aren't built in a day, they're laid span by span. Still, the first span is down. When a father and son, tired of loud words, remember how it was before everything flipped, a new possibility appears, not a return to the past, that never exists, but a future where talk of grandchildren isn't diplomacy, just simple human joy. What next? A careful thought. Come to me, see how they're growing. That's not just an invite. For a monarch, visiting a private American home even quietly, without cameras, is a near unheard of symbol. It says, I accept the life you built. It also answers an old pain, distance. Sometimes it's easier to cross an ocean than a corridor full of palace whispers. If that step happens, neither side wins. The family does. Meanwhile, another outline forms. The court is gearing up for state occasions, including a visit from the American president. For older viewers, that music is familiar: carriages, speeches, a banquet, the steel of protocol. In such moments, personal and public can live side by side if boundaries are respected. That's the opening. Big visits make room for small meetings, without rush, without noise. Not to show, but to be. So the grandchildren meet not a king on a screen, but a grandfather in a sitting room. What about the old words, the wounds, the grievances? They haven't vanished. But age brings its own wisdom. Those over 50 know, great quarrels have no winners. There are only those who kept the pause and those who broke it. Yesterday's meeting is a pause. It doesn't erase pages or unsay things, but it offers a new field: no loudspeakers, no mics. And yes, that field is dangerous for people who live by revelations, because silence deprives them of oxygen. That's the point. If anyone truly wants to come back, they must unlearn living on air. There's another nerve: security and the press's shadow. How many times has private somehow hit a newsfeed within the hour? This time the rules were hard: no cameras, no hints, no just one shot. The fact those rules held is the first adult gesture from both sides in a long while. It weighs more than any he said, she replied. It's about trust grown not by big words, but by small discipline: promise made, promise kept. Should the children return to palace calendars and royal holidays? That answer is harder than it looks. Any school trip into the British monarchy is a showcase. Some people are tired of it, others treat it as a tool. Let's say out loud what's usually whispered: children are not content. They're not bargaining chips for adults, not magnets for deals, not symbols on a political board. If the road to their grandfather opens, it should run through closed gates, firm security, and phones turned off. Otherwise it's not a visit, it's a performance. Performances suit people who live from headline to headline. They harm those who have school in the morning. Which brings us to the core. If a new route truly took shape in Clarence House, from London to a California playroom and back, there's a price. The price is silence. No insider nudges. No turning a family minute into a press story. For any adult, this isn't heroism, it's normal life. For a public family, it's almost a revolution. But only then does a pause become movement. And only then does a child remain a child in the world's eyes, not someone recognized from screenshots. As for the palace, it has long balanced private and public. The English ceremony engine has run for centuries like a clock. That's why it survived an era when kings became colorful avatars on a phone. If the king can keep two lines steady, welcome his son without volume, meet his grandchildren overseas without cameras, it will be a victory for the school that formed him. The one whose best rule is simple: never explain, do it right. What if, a month from now, the hints return, the friends of the family brief again? Then we're back where we started. Which is why today you shouldn't underestimate one disciplined pause. For a mature audience, it says more than any interview. It repeats clearly: in this house they know forgiveness isn't a plot, it's a craft. It has no flashy scenes. It has results. And a word about us. Why do stories like this hold the 50-plus audience? Because by then people have made their own mistakes and their own reconciliations. They know the price of pride, of stubbornness, and of a late "I'm sorry." They have a soft spot for endings where applause is replaced by a door clicking shut, and behind it, a quiet talk between adults. Charles and Harry have a chance to keep exactly that kind of talk. But the chance shrinks if the chorus that profits from burning bridges starts whistling again. Now the promised moral. Family isn't a series. Children aren't currency. Reconciliation isn't a media campaign. If someone wants back in, the road opens not through big words, but small, unseen acts. You brought photos, don't post them. You met, don't retell it. You traveled, don't call a cameraman. Those simple steps are the only honest route from other people's headlines to your own home. Everything else is noise. Friends, what do you think? Do both sides have the patience to finish this bridge? No lunges, no exclusives, no repeat mistakes? Should the king, for his grandchildren, cross the ocean, and would that make things easier for everyone? Tell us in the comments. Your stories and experience always make these broadcasts deeper. If our calm, no-rush analysis speaks to you, tap like and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapters of this family saga. Thank you for watching. We'll see you very soon.